Yokwe everyone. For those of you who live outside of the Marshall Islands, you may not know what a Rebbilib is. This here is a small version of a Rebbilib. So a Rebbilib is a navigational tool used by Marshallese seafarers to find their way across the vast Pacific Ocean, as well as a tool for them to teach other navigators as the location of atolls, these shells here, and islands. It also shows wave swells and patterns. At its simplest explanation, the Rebbilib is a map of the ocean pathways, but it also gives you an idea of the dangers that lie ahead. Within Oxfam in the Pacific, we have taken on the learnings of our Pacific neighbors in the Marshall Islands and other monitoring and evaluation specialists around the Pacific to draw on the analogy of the Rebbilib and mapping our way forward, whilst at the same time being aware of the linkages between different points and the risks associated with each. When you and your CSO completed the self-reflection, self-assessment exercise in addition to being able to complete a spider graph, you also identified where you were in relation to each of the points under governance, organizational structure and management, human resources, finances, and finally collaboration and influencing. Each of these rankings or baseline stages can be equated to probably an atoll or an island in your ocean sphere. By now, you should have already seen and examined your spider graphs for each of the 5 areas under the OCAT guide. You will now have a good idea of where your CSO's strengths and weaknesses lie, as well as the amount of work involved to shift your CSO's capacity. Keeping that in mind, the next question for you to decide is what approach your CSO would like to take in addressing the identified capacity gaps. Do you wish to start from an area of strength or an area of weakness? Depending on your answer to that question, you will then need to start mapping out where do you wish to start with your journey to improving your CSO's governance, organizational structure and management, human resources, finances, and collaboration and influencing. Once you have identified this, you will also need to set out what your CSO's planned actions are to shift that capacity. For example, in the area of 1.1, the purpose of the CSO, an example of a planned action to improve this area could be holding awareness consultations with your members around the CSO's purpose, your CSO's purpose. Having decided where you want to start and what you want to do, you then need to reflect on what other area under that particular pillar, for example, governance, will be positively impacted. For example, if you improve on 1.1 by undertaking awareness consultations with your members, the next possible area to be impacted under governance could be 1.4, which is about your constituency of a CSO, since your members will now have a better understanding of your CSO's purpose. On identifying the next impacted area, you will then need to link these 2 areas, as if you were mapping out a course or a pathway. You can again pinpoint what actions you need to take as a CSO to shift that particular area positively. This exercise is repeated until you've navigated through all the points of interest under the different headings: governance, organizational structure, human resources, finances, and collaboration and influencing. Komortada.